Yep, Tracy Davies, President of Money 2020 globally. So you're here in Las Vegas. This is our original show since 2012. So still quite a young brand actually. But we also operate in Europe, Amsterdam in June, and Thailand, Bangkok for Southeast Asia in Bangkok, Thailand, I believe, in Asia, Southeast Asia, and that's each April. So what we do, which I think you probably know by now, it's the Tuesday of the show. We bring the ecosystem of money together. So banks, payments, tech, startups, VCs. So that's what we do. We describe ourselves as the place where money does business. So that's about where, the conversation about the future of money, but as you can see from this very busy show floor out here, it is also where a lot of deals are being done, a lot of connections are being made. So that is what we do, and we do that around the world. Each of the shows are slightly different. We also have a digital product called 20Fold, which is the world's biggest database of startups, which we launched here this time last year. So we are a physical business and a digital business. We're listed on the London Stock Exchange under Informa PLC. Final thing from me, and then I'm going to tee in Scarlett, so we really get into the world of fintech and the trends and what's happening, which I think will be of interest to you. We also announced that we will, this time next year, debut the Money 2020 Awards. Not going to be called Money 2020 Awards. We will reveal a name, and that will be a really very different kind of awards. We also own Cannes Lion in the marketing space, which is the world's leading awards program for creativity. So we really understand industry benchmarking and independent judging. So that's going to be the premise of it. And we will announce an open for entries in April. So we're happy to take questions on our products. But I'm going to be joined by Scarlett. So Scarlett Sieber is my subject matter expert, if you like. She's our Chief Growth and Strategy Officer, has worked in the industry for banks and various other sectors. She's also a published author and expert on embedded fintech, which is obviously a big topic today and generally at our shows, and has published the seminal work on embedded fintech. So I'm going to let Scarlett just give an overview of trends, and then we think it's better to get into some questions. Scarlett.
Thank you, Tracy. All right, I'm going to project a little bit louder because it's loud in the background, so hopefully you can hear me okay. So one of the things that we get asked a lot is the differences and similarities across the shows that we have, and there are certainly things that are consistent and there are certainly things that are a bit different. So as Tracy mentioned, we have the 3 shows starting off in Asia this year. AI was popular at all 3 of the shows. Surprise, you're very surprised to hear that. How that manifested really kind of shifted on each geography. One of the things that we've seen in Asia, which is a bit more new for that geography, is partnerships and cross-industry collaboration, but even within banks. So Kaisiport Bank, one of the biggest banks in Thailand, one of their biggest announcements was actually with JP Morgan on the blockchain and talking about Project Carino, which was really interesting. We also saw cross-geography collaboration with Mambu. Reports are a big thing. You all like data too. So anyways, Mambu and Bank Aladin from Indonesia collaborated on a report on Islamic banking, which is getting more and more publicity and focus in that geography. Cross-border payments, really big. Guess what? We started as payments. Payments big everywhere, but probably the biggest in Asia, because each country, not each one, but we have a big focus on Southeast Asia. The populations are so big that somewhere like Indonesia, you have 100 million people. They tend to stay quite local. So cross-border is a big conversation. You're going to hear today, I'm sure you already have throughout the last few days, around open banking in Asia in its infancy. So we're just starting conversations. We brought a bunch of the regulators together behind closed doors to really help accelerate that conversation. And we also brought a lot of the fintech associations. I think there are 15 or 16, Tina can tell me the exact number, but we had 13 of them there with us to talk about what they're doing from a cross-country pollination perspective. When you moved to Europe, we had a lot of focus, again, not only, but also on AI and open banking. And I kind of pushed, our content team collectively is full of industry experts, ex-analysts, ex-bankers, ex-VCs, journalists as well. Amongst you was sitting side of this table at one point in time, some of them. And in any case, when they kept pushing me that we were doing dedicated sessions on open banking, I said, you're super advanced in open banking. We still need to do this. The answer was yes, and there was a lot of focus on that, and the audience still really wanted that. On AI, we had Deutsche Bank and ING. The most senior person, CTO there, now also Chief AI Officer, was talking about what they were doing with AI and how they were leveraging it. What was interesting is two of the largest banks on that continent had very different perspectives, where ING was talking about real world use cases and how they've been implementing it. Deutsche Bank, the CIO there, brand new in the position, was talking about where she saw opportunities and where she didn't. So then if you move here, which some of you are US focused and US specific, which is the main topic today, I'd say three key things, two of them overlap. Surprise, AI. AI is everywhere. We've seen this a lot last year as well, but even from the shift from last year to this year, we've gotten to a lot more depth of like the applications and use cases of AI. And I think some of you were with us yesterday morning when we launched with A-Crew Capital the AI indexing report. Why did we do that? Well, I've known Lauren a long time, but truthfully, one of the things that we do across all of our shows is we have a call for content process where anyone within the industry can submit their applications to speak. We get thousands and thousands of them annually. In the US show, 20% of those applications were specifically about AI and fraud and the combination of the two. So we were already going to highlight that on our agenda, but we really doubled down on that. And one of the things that we saw when we were looking at it was, back to the A-Crew and this partnership, was people think there's a lot of talk and theory, but what's actually happening? And the most exciting thing to me is, being an ex-banker, sometimes banks move a little bit slowly. They have to. We're in a highly regulated industry. But actually, as it relates to AI, in terms of an adoption perspective, that financial services is actually leading across other industries. That was validated actually just a second ago. One of the announcements, some of you were there yesterday, between Google Cloud and Citi, and Balaji, who is their head of tech infrastructure at Citi, just talked about how and why it was so important to be adopting these new technologies. This is a lot more on Citi's core infrastructure, but then emphasize the importance of AI as part of that. The second thing is about open banking. We knew it was going to be a big deal. For those of you who have been with us for some time, Director Chopra came here in 2022 and announced his intentions around 1033. Got the industry stirring, so we've been having conversations with that team for a while. We knew, and it was public, that the updates of that initiative was going to come out in October. It was released last Tuesday, and so again, many of you saw that conversation. But open banking, what was great about that for us was earlier in the day we had an open banking dedicated summit where we went 101, 201, 301 to really dive into the next level of conversation related to that. And then on the other side of that was regulation and policy. You've probably seen from our agenda that I mentioned in Asia, we had the regulators behind closed doors. We had some really prominent regulators in Europe as well, and it's a big focus for us this year. So obviously we talked about Director Chopra. We had Mr. Chairman Gensler from the SEC. We also had some governors in the room who were thinking about different ways and really focusing and pushing on fintech innovation. And then even yesterday morning, starting with Gary Cohn, ex-COO of Goldman Sachs, he talked all about economic policy and the importance of that. He's vice chairman of IBM. So I'd say those are probably the three key things that you're going to see. There's a lot more cross-border payments all over, but AI is mentioned in almost every session. And we knew that those three things were going to be the thing, but they've been even stronger than we had anticipated to begin with. So I think that's the overview.
Absolutely.
We'd rather do questions.
Good overview. So, any questions to Scholars and Tracy? Yes, you have one. Susan, do you want to come closer?
I'll repeat the question.